本日は LJL2020 サマースプリットプレーオフラウンド2マッチ2の模様をお送りしております。現在2試合行われ1対1の状況になっております。さあ、それでは先ほどのゲームのブレイクダウンから確認していきたいと思います。さあ、ゲーム2、クレストゲーミングアクトが勝利を収めた試合のブレイクダウンとなっておりますが、10分以降から一気にというような感じですね、ゴールドグラフ。
そうですね、特にダメージのバランスいってもハリア選手圧倒的でしたね。
DPM1000 ですかちょっともうゾーイはダメなんじゃないかなと。
そうなってきますね。これダメージシェアで言っても 35% 以上出てそうですよね。
40近そうですけどね。
となるとやはりルブランも似たような、パフォーマンス発揮できるチャンピオンですから、 DFM としてはルブランゾーイはバンしておかないとってなってきてそうですよね。
FM としてもそのフロントラインのない構成、少し難しい構成かなというような話はしてましたが、
あとはそのフロントラインがないことによってグレンデル選手のフック対象というのがある意味で誰を、連れてきてもいいと、でさらにあの精度じゃないですか。
いやー、出ましたね。
ちょっと刺さりすぎましたね今回は。で次のゲームという話であれば、やはりクレストゲーミングレッドサイドであってもケイトリンを分けれるというのは今のメタでは非常に大きなアドバンテージになると思います。なので、レッドを選んで、アリア選手に練習動機を取れるチャンピオンを渡すと、でミッドから、自分たちが広げたい、基本的にはガンゴ選手のいるボットレーンですかねの方に有利を広げられるような動きを繰り返すっていうのが、CGA としては狙っていきたいバンピックの形になってくるかなと思いますね。
なるほど。さあ、それでは先ほどのゲームのジャングルプロキシミティ、こちら見ていきましょう。ジャングラーがどのレーンに寄り添っていた時間が多いのか割合で示したものです。
基本的には両サイド、まずはボットを狙った展開から、そこからやはりミッドの主導権って大事だねということで最終的にはミッドにかなり寄ってるんですが、これ多分15分前後の段階、2個目のドラゴンのあたりですかね。で DFM がもうちょっと差がついちゃってドラゴン戦やっても勝てないからということでトップに切り替えたようなパーセントグラフになってるんですよね。でこれやはり大きかったのが1ゲーム目のように FM はトップサイドでゲームを作るよ、CGA はボットサイドでゲームを作るよっていうと、やっぱり作戦遂行能力 DFM の方がどうしても高いので、狙いが分かれてしまうと DFM 有利になってしまうというのを2ゲーム目では相手にケイトリンを取らせることによって両チームがボットを主体としたゲームメイクをするところに引き込めたというのが大きかったかなと思いますね。
あとはその全体の数値を足したとしても
I've been muted that entire time. So that's always fun. But I have been here and we'll skip over all the details. I'll talk to you guys about it over the game. There's always a decent amount of downtime during these games. For now, let's focus on what matters in life. The draft here coming out for DFM versus CGA. Now, sticking to the same sides for now. We'll see if that was... We'll see how things go, because now DFM have a different task in front of them. First and foremost, are you willing to put that much priority on a Caitlyn once again? And I have to say, I don't think they will. Only because the Caitlyn was picked with the comp in mind. And CGA just kind of completely exploited it. But if Evi was just not willing to play something like a Maokai top, or if you're not willing to draft a tanky jungler, or something of that nature to offer any bit of defense for your comp, I don't think DFM would be going for a Caitlyn once again, knowing that CGA kind of found a quick answer to that one. So we'll see if DFM switch things up. Wouldn't be surprised to see Utapon returning to either Senna or to something that he's had continued success with during the regular split, but Caitlyn returning once again. Now CGA can't show their counters too early. There aren't as many flex options still available. You could draft up a Zoe here, if that was something you wanted to go down the route of, as well as drafting a jungler, lower priority. Not too worried about your jungler getting countered out, so drafting up a Trundle here is also totally fine. You want to see as much of DFM's side of things as you can, while Jhin is also going to be locked in. So this is honestly a very good R1, R2 coming out from CGA. Now DFM are going to be forced to kind of show their hand. Looking at a Gnar possibly. Gnar would certainly be... Ooh, DFM. Okay, so there is some familiarity here. Now drafting up a little bit more of a tanky option, and Arya gonna have the run back on the Zoe immediately picked up here. And now we might see DFM going for that Blitzcrank ban. But I like this from DFM. I think this is a great fix. Again, there are tanks I'd rather see, but Gnar sort of does a similar option of having a team fight ultimate that can be used like cannons, but Gnar I think is just a little bit safer, a little bit tankier, and will last longer beyond that initial stun. So we'll see how CGA choose to respond here, banning away the Bard. And it will be the Morgana to follow up. A fair ban, as Morgana Caitlyn is a very potent lane should any one binding land. That is a lot of time you will spend not moving around much. On the side of... On the receiving end, of course, for those bindings and roots, but... As we also see Ornn being banned away. Still removing the team fight tools from CGA. Ooh, Rakan. We have not seen Rakans in a little while, but does offer a great engage option. As it will be the Thresh locked in here. Now DFM, you could opt into a Kindred once again, now knowing that there's not as many displacement options on the side of CGA, and I don't think it would be a bad pickup for Steel. The support is a little bit of an interesting one, would give you a little bit of engaged range option, but it will be the Lux once again. So Caitlyn Lux are going to be returning to the bot lane for CGA. And now DFM Skarner would be an interesting one. We have seen Skarners somewhat popping up in recency. Very recent, if I do recall correctly. And now DFM looking at their last pickup, Olaf? Olaf is a little bit of an I am not a huge fan of the Olaf here. There's not a whole lot of... The longer range engage options from DFM are somewhat limited, so setting up Gnar ultimates will be kind of hard. The nice thing is that Olaf can be somewhat of a catch jungler. If you land an axe on someone, it's fairly easy for either Gang on the Lux or for Saros on the Nico to be able to find a spell and hopefully continue that catch forward, but CGA also picking up the Camille here might mean that Napo's gonna do what he can to try and keep Gnar away from the team fights. The nice thing for CGA is that Pillar works on Steel regardless, at least to make him try and run around it, regardless of popping the Highlander. And the effective ranges for CGA are not too difficult. It's a fairly similar matchup in terms of a lot of the carries. The bottom half of the maps looking very similar. If Grendel is one to repeat perform on a different support this time, Thresh versus Blitzcrank, it could easily go belly up very quickly for the side of DFM. That said, though, we do have our comps locked in, and if you want a post-draft prediction, I think I'm going to hand this one to CGA. I did have CGA as the favorites for winning this series, and I think I would still hold to that. In this game in particular, though, I think CGA have a swell of confidence coming into this one, and it wouldn't take that many things going wrong for DFM before they feel like their ship is starting to sink.
あとはオラフでいうとやはりこう連のマッチアップよりからそのジャングルに対してのカウンタージャングルっていうところがイメージ強いですが、今回どうですか？
Apologies, taking another quick sip here, trying to keep the throat lubricated and ready. As, like I said, I still believe we're looking at a 3-2 potentially. I think this is one that will go the distance, as no win seems to come to DFM without it being an absolute bloodbath in terms of how many games it takes and how close it has been, but what a world it would be in if we didn't see DFM making it all the way to finals. Still 1-1 for now, though, so plenty of games still to be played, and for all we know, DFM could easily be trying to mounting an assault here that tried to prove us wrong and hopefully take this game 2 for their playoff run chances. Now, the nice thing for Caitlyn Lux specifically in the as Thresh opposed to Blitzcrank is the Hex Flash plays are a lot less potent. You have a little bit more time to dodge out on hooks, but still pose the same amount of threat if you ever land a binding, because it is a decent amount of time that you will spend CC'd before you can grab the Thresh Lantern. And actually, it was an early gank from Unica that turned the tides of that bot lane very early on, in a trade that DFM won at the start of the game. They just kind of pushed up just a little bit too far, and Unica went for a very quick level 3 gank, sprinted on in, and was able to turn that lane in their favor. Even if it ended up costing his own life, the kill going to the jungler meant that it was benefit to CGA, or it was overall benefit to DFM, but to the bot lane specifically was benefit to CGA. And while we are just in a short pause while we wait for the game to get started up here, to just sort of circle back into the points I made while I was muted, main thing I wanted to talk about from that last game, I think, was just Arya was really just kind of feeling himself, and Arya found a lot of solo pressure, not a lot of solo kills. I think he had 1 or maybe 2 throughout that game, but it was very good that he was able just to command that much pressure in the lane, slight CS leads, and Zoe isn't exactly a very strong laner. It's not like a champion that you see very threatening. So to be able to have not only that much potency throughout the game, but to be able to demonstrate it on a player like Seros. Hopefully Seros' mental is holding up, because I'm sure that starts to shake DFM fans slightly with Arya having that kind of all-star performance that he does. I think one of the other things definitely worth talking about was, of course, the bot lane, and it honestly felt like, even though the bot lane did end up slightly being pulled away in the favor of CGA, I feel like DFM definitely got the better end of a couple trades, and with the right amount of protection, they easily could have been making that work better for them. So that could be something that DFM are looking at as sort of a play route, to just change a few of the factors, leave a couple things similar. But now you have an Olaf that can duel with the Trundle if they end up finding each other. You know, something that can command enough respect on the bot, or to just offer pressure for the bot lane. But we're getting started up here shortly, so we'll see what comes to pass. Alright, and as we get started up here, gotta just not drop my phone on the floor there. But we do have DFM, everything fairly expected on their side. Nothing too out of the ordinary in ways of picks. Lightly interesting is Nap going for the fleet footwork, but it's an understandable pickup into the ranged versus top matchup. And this is sort of an issue for Unica, as I'm very curious to see what he's going, or where he's going to be playing around, because you easily can put yourself up towards the top side, try and be aggressive on that top lane, get Nap rolling, and put Evi in a rough spot in terms of the later split pushes. But then there is also, hold that thought, as a Flay's going to land on the gang. Going to get a couple autos. Guardian should be able to keep them relatively safe, but not a bad opening trade. Does slightly benefit DFM, actually, as gang, of course, has those extra health pots. But you can see the early river vision already established by DFM. They don't want to repeat performance from that last early gank that they received in Game 2. But it looks like for now, Unica just going for a full clear to 3. Both junglers full clearing their blue side before making their swaps. There is actually a fair amount of early dive potential from DFM if they're able to pull it off, as they're already shoved completely under turret here. And will be for a short while. Skrendel's going to go half HP off of that binding, and that's exactly how that sort of play will start. Land a binding on them under turret. It's an easy way to find an early kill there. Steel, you can see some pings coming out. He wants to get tabs on the CGA jungle here. Dodging out on a decent amount of the vision on his way over. Pops the ward, so he will know that DFM, or that CGA, did go for a full clear onto Unica's red side. But not going to look for a dive just yet. Will instead retreat back to his chickens, while Seros looking to do the same here. I like this little cheeky play from Steel. Walks up, transforms into the jungler, and walks back down. I don't know if it necessarily worked, because of course you did see Seros walking around that way. But we'll see if it ends up paying off for DFM and what CGA try to respond with. But for now, Unica just going in for the full clear. Gonna head back down for the Scuttle Crab, as both junglers will just be able to full clear 24 farm apiece. Soon to be 28, as Steel is going to be grabbing his Krugs on the top side. No vision on this top side. Evi should know he's here, so he should know that a potential gank is on the line. So he's going to wander down here to try and bait for a ward. He's thinking about it. His sixth sense is tingling. Unica will just be able to clear out the ward for his top lane there, which is just kind of the elusive pressure of clearing out vision for your top laner there. Means Evi will have to play with that much more respect, help out the laning for Nap there. But speaking of laning, right now Udapon is just making laning rough for Gango. He already has about a almost 20 CS lead by 5 minutes. It's not a terrible position for Udapon to be finding himself in. Arya as well is not getting the better end of a lot of these trades. Seros does a great job of blocking out the Paddle Stars with the Nico clones to just keep Arya from being able to shove the lanes back into him. And so far it's paying for about a 15 CS advantage there, so if all things maintain their course, DFM are in a fine spot for this one. We'll still have a decent amount of time, though, before we see much action. Unless Unica can sneak into this bot lane. He's trying to make his way in, but The lane state not exactly supporting him. He will have to wait a little while longer before he can get a gank off, unless Gango starts something off there with the deadly flourish landed. No punish opportunity just yet. But a sleep landed there. Arya, no paddle star on deck. We'll just get a little chunk there onto Seros. Nothing too deep. As Steel is looking for a gank opportunity. The wave is going to be coming back into Arya, though. So he doesn't need to walk up too far. He will walk up for that paddle star. Steel's going to land an axe there. It's going to be a root afterwards. But nothing that Arya can't shake off. Already low on mana once again. Seros being able to back on that lost chapter actually pays so much for the side of DFM. And they're going to use that combined pressure with the bot lane to grab up early first Drake. But honestly, for the side of CGA, this is a totally fine game state to be finding yourself in. Only about almost 1,000 gold now down. That's not the worst position that CGA has had to overcome to get there. Well, Arya will be grabbing up the blue buff from Unica here, helping him out. And that'll help at least mitigate the difference of the lost chapter in that lane. But for now, DFM are kind of safe to continue the course of their slight gold advantages in each lane here. As mid lane is starting to even up, it'll really be what advantages Udapon can get over Gango in the bot lane. So we're in a slight lull state. This Rift Herald should also be going over to the side of DFM fairly uncontested, as Steel's just going to start it up right away. Rotating support up is fairly nice for Gango in the bot lane. Gives him a little bit of extra breathing room, but having Grendel rotate over for this also feels a little bit interesting. He easily could have kept Gango and Grendel in the bot lane to try and find a play onto Udapon in his absence. And that was never a fight you were going to take anyway. Steel, you don't really want to be fighting into an early game Olaf, as not quite having the burst potential to finish that one off. Arya's just going to find a paddle star there for a little extra damage on to Seros, and already Seros is starting to have a couple flashbacks of the last game's laning phase. Unless Steel has an opportunity here. Grendel is here in support, so the Lantern is going to get him out before the Pop Blossom can pop. As Grendel's going to find a flay onto Steel. Here comes Gang, though, rotating in. Unica showing up for this play as well. Going to find a pillar onto Seros, but not going to lock him up against the wall. Grendel finds a good hook. He's trying to find something onto Steel. The box goes down, but won't slow anyone up long enough. I like the look from Grendel. Unfortunately, just a little bit too far away from his team. And the play will fizzle out for now, but Unica looking to keep this ball rolling. Gang still has flash, and so does Udapon, so not too worried. They're going to batter them down as best they can. No deadly flourish is going to land. Grendel's low HP is... He's going to try to run away, but Evi's going to find a good R. No stun, but no stun necessarily required, as Grendel's going to get away here with that flash. No! The light is going to shine true. Gang going to find that one with the ultimate. 2 kills over to the side of DFM. As Arya and Seros nowhere to be seen in that fight, DFM are going to spawn up the Rift Herald as well to try and chunk out that turret. This felt a little bit ambitious from CGA to just try and be forcing on. They didn't respect the teleport. If Yutapon doesn't flash there, they might have been able to finish him off. But by the time they got there, Evi was already in Mega. And this was just Grendel, unfortunately, dodging up instead of down. And sort of an awkward position because, of course, you never want to run in that slot in between the turret and the wall because then you're absolutely going to get hit by the ultimate. And Gang with a good read to try and call him out for going wide. Now, almost about a 3k gold advantage. Things are starting to look a little bit worse for CGA, as Yutapon already has Storm Razor on deck. That makes getting a gank off on this bot lane that much easier because a Storm Razor proc is a slow, that will mean an axe, that will mean a binding, and will just kind of snowball from there. But Evi going for a little bit of a trade there onto Nap. No Hextech ultimatum, so he can't lock him under turret just yet, but Arya did pick up a redemption there, so he does have at least that option. Is going to use it onto Sarah's Gang and Steel there, so a damage redemption coming out from Arya. And this feels like a risky Drake to really contest from CGA. They easily could be just passing this one over and worrying about the next few Drakes. Sort of emboldened by the damage already done to Gang, CGA are going to try to contest for this one. Gonna pop the subjugate. The Steel is going to be taken by Steel, as that's just gonna be a dead Unica for it. This felt just awkward for the side of CGA. You had no business really going there. They weren't strong enough to take a fight. You can land all the hooks you want. No damage on the side of CGA will really knock him down in a reasonable amount of time. Nap, of course, benefiting slightly just by being able to get a couple turret plates up on the top side, but definitely felt like an avoidable death for Unica. And if DFM can continue to bait CGA into these kind of objective scraps, it's not going to be it's going to be just continued fight wins for DFM. As Rift Herald is up in 45 seconds, so you know DFM are going to try to set up that scenario again. Unless they can find a play onto Yutapon in this bot lane. Gang 2-0-1 already. Actually does a decent amount of damage purely from just being in so many of these fights and picking up so many of these kills. The support item AP that you get will, and the extra just acceleration that Lux has so far, means she's just one threat of many on the side of DFM, as Unica's red buff is going to get stolen right out from under him. 2-level advantage on Steel, so all the more reason to not be contesting if you are CGA. Right now, you definitely need to stop the bleeding of the gold and hopefully try to find a way back into this one. But it doesn't look like Unica wants this one. They now have 5 members strong. Yutapon should be able to get first turret on the bottom side for that one, as that's going to ring in. So now CGA not only need to get this Rift Herald, but they need to make it worth their while if they wanted to pay back its gold. There's already about a 4k gold advantage on the side of DFM. They're going to just back away from this one. So Rift Herald is going to go over to the top side there. And it looks like Jin rotating up to the top side as well will catch that wave. They could honestly put it up in the top lane if you want to just try and get Gango back ahead of this game, but slowly but surely, DFM are just clawing a larger and larger gold lead. They're really raking it in at nearly just cresting 15 minutes, almost a 5k gold lead in their pockets.
CGA 的にこの現状でどれに使う
And you can see here Yutapon a full item up on Gango. He should have his first yeah, I was gonna say after backing should have his first item, but
3つ目のドラゴンシール
Zeal already completed onto Yutapon. He's just waiting on his RFC.
なので、ヘラルドを使ってうまくドラゴンを抑えれるのであればそれ
And on the side of Saros, he's also getting towards his catch item. So it's sort of
ドレイク1分30秒後
the advantages that they have or that DFM have allow them to be better catches, which will start to mean that CGA aren't able to be alone in the side lanes or get found out in the jungle because DFM will just happily run them down. So
変えることができますね。
rotating that many members over for a Rift Herald that was
削って、
fairly already DFMs and then rotating over for a Drake that was also DFMs
さあそしてオーシャンまで1
ultimately means that once these item completions come in and you're getting Storm Razor procs, Ghosties coming out from Saros,
スティールはちょっとユタポンの守りに入ってますね。
そうですね
it only will really mean that CGA aren't going to have the damage to take the fight, let alone the resistance stats for some of their tanky members like Unica.
さあオーシャンドレイク30秒前。アリアは現在
But waiting in the mid lane for now, just going to be clearing waves back and forth.
エビがブラッククリーバー完成しています。ナップもトリディフォースは完成しました。
Nap is already here, so they might be looking for a play as Arya's gonna get a back off here. The turret should be going down to the minions in the top side. And so I don't think Arya is planning on picking up that gold if it does. But the Rift Herald spawned up here. Unix is gonna go to about half HP just for spawning it. While Arya's trying to find angles for those sleepy trouble bubbles. I think this was just sort of a panic drop from Unica because it's not even gonna get a charge off.
さらにドラゴン前でのポジションを
And Ocean Drake is gonna get spotted up here. Grendel landing a hook, but nothing that can be capitalized off of. Evi is gonna get slept out. Arya with a good bit of damage to try and open something up, but Dragon already about half HP. They're trying to make their way forward. Another hook landed. Saros goes in with the Pop Blossom. Good flash to try to get away from that one, but it won't save him for long. Arya gonna be going down here. No, narrowly avoids the barbs from the Nico, and that's just gonna be the fight win. Still going the way of DFM as they just kind of rout CGA. The gold lead is just a little bit too much for CGA to try to overcome there, as
ドラゴンソウルへのリーチ
DFM are already up to soul point at 18 minutes.
一気に有利になりましたね。
リプレイです。
ここのシーン、まずアリア選手。
And this looks okay for CGA to start things off, but I think this fight just got a little bit out of hand before CGA were particularly ready. Gango and Grendel are just leading in front of Unica, and
フラッシュによって
that's sort of
ですが
one of the problems that Trundle has is that he's not
アリア選手を止めて
he's not exactly a hard tank. He can't exactly lead the charge.
選手が孤立したところをきっちり
And when you need to have your carry and your support standing in front of Unica,
ドラゴン前のポジショニング
that not only means that your tanks are too far behind,
欲しいポイント
it also comes to pass that Gango needs to do more than his fair share of damage, and he's about almost 40 CS behind. He is not on par with Yutapon, especially after Yutapon picked up a turret on his own
ああなるほど。
due to rotations around this Rift Herald. CGA
なかったのでそのまま止められてしまったと。
are going to need to find time to just get farm, as
ありましたがすぐさまラグナロク。
Hook is gonna drag out the Highlander. That's gonna be the Hextech ultimatum onto Yutapon, but he's just gonna get dragged around. Nap going all over the place. See, he sidesteps that ultimate from the Lux, but the Pop Blossom's gonna find two. That's gonna be a dead 80 carry. That's gonna be a dead top laner, and soon to follow. Don't think Grendel's gonna be long for this one. CGA are just kind of being routed here.
選手のアルティメットが完璧に入りましたね
And it looks like the attention is going to be pivoted over to the Baron. Unica, you can try to steal this, but at 2 levels down, I don't think that's going to be on the menu,
十分抑えられると思います
as Steel has been fairly consistent in his smite fights so far.
フォークがちょっと刺さりまくる以外ないですが
言ったらユタ
Arya looking for his way in, just trying to probe with spells, but he does not nearly as much damage as he used to. As Saros is going to zone away Unica, Baron is going to fall to the side of DFM, and DFM might be looking to put an early end to this one. I was taking a drink of water, but that was Gango. The deadly flourish stealing away a Baron. DFM unfortunately getting a little bit of karma there from the earlier Baron steal that they had in their last series versus Burning Core. This was just a great teleport from Saros. Finds so much value out of that ultimate. But I gotta watch that. That cannot happen. Nobody wanted to tank the W? Half HP, Unica's zoned. Arya can't find his way forward. Kango just kind of runs in off of respawn. And everyone's full enough HP. They could have done something about this. That is not... Steel should have had Smite as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but unfortunately Baron does not mean you're strong enough to win a fight. So CGA are going to be heading for the hills right now. As CGA are just going to use this Baron, honestly, just to mount a defense. But right now, with Ocean Soul up in 25 seconds, CGA don't have a whole lot of time left before they're forced into a fight. Steel's going to look for one now. No Highlander ultimate available just yet, so if a hook lands, they might be able to get something started here. But they're just so far ahead on the side of DFM. And the damage is starting to add up. They have inside track to this Baron pit. Arya going to be probing forward with a couple of those paddle stars. We've seen this movie before, and last time it was all a DFM in the lead, and now they're going to try to execute on it again. Already about half HP. It's going to be the Ocean Soul already given over to DFM, as now Evi's in there. He's trying to do what he can, but how long will he last? He's going to go down there as CGA are now going to try to back away, but the traps from Caitlyn are going to stop that retreat there, as Arya's going to get gunned down. Unibot flashes forward and kind of messes up a little bit, but a Pop Blossom is just going to be all that's required. DFM are going to find an ace, and that should be a game off the back of that one. DFM with Ocean Soul, 7k gold lead. Gonna find themselves rolling over CGA here, as now they're trying to push forward onto the base here. Fairly short respawn timers from CGA might mean that they're not able to completely end the game here, but the rest of this game is pretty much a formality for DFM. As there's just no easy way for CGA to walk up and gain ground here. You don't have a hard engage, you don't have something like an Ornn, and Trundle just can't get close enough to even potentially steal it away, let alone get much done after the fight is already started. Gango does what he can, but there are so many members you have to put damage through that he just does not have yet. And for now, DFM are just going to enjoy a leisurely stroll down victory lane, as they can wait for these next few objectives to really try and end the game. Saros is just going to try and defend this turret in the top side, and the rest of the cavalry incoming. No plays to be had for CGA. Might be a play starting up here as the teleport is coming in from the side of CGA. Steel might be biting off a bit more than he can chew. He still has ultimate available. Snap's going to try to solo out Saros. He's going to use the Pop Blossom. That's just going to be a dead nap. No magic resist on him means no survival time. You know, I appreciate that CGA are going for it, but at this point, it is all but over for CGA. You can mount the last defense that you would like, but there's not a whole lot left to be said for this game. Sleep landed, Death Sentence landed. Saros might get pulled in here, but is going to be able to back out to safety. Low HP as he's just going to retreat out on that one. And no curtain call to make any other kills come through, as now Evi's looping around here. Manga's going to fall off, but I don't even think it's entirely necessary. Steel can tank for all of eternity, as Udapon is going to find the kill onto Grendel there. CGA really just kind of have to watch their base go down in shambles as another Highlander is going to come out there. Now with Baron up, DFM are just going to turn their attention back towards it, but with Unica going down, that's what happens when you have to face check this many members of DFM, as that's just going to be Baron insured. Nap thinking about having a repeat performance of Unica there, but luckily for him, Evi is not exactly the best at catching either. That's going to be the trap down. So much time spent CC'd as he's going to spawn right into another trap. The headshot comes out, going to pop one as Pop Blossom not going to get the kill onto Arya, but Udapon's happy to be picking that one up as Saros is going to pick up one onto the Jhin. Baron secured once again as DFM are just going to be able to end the game here. Most likely, unless CGA ask for a miracle, overcoming about a 13k gold lead is a bit of a harder ask than overcoming a 1 or 2k gold lead that CGA has done in the past. Pushing down the base here. DFM are going to knock down the last few turrets. Pushing into the Nexus here as CGA may have had a dominant performance in Game 2, but DFM answer back in kind, and we've seen teams go blow for blow before, but this has been a absolute slugfest. These are huge chunks that both of these teams are taking out of each other, but DFM going to be going up 2-1 in the series. Don't go anywhere, we do have more games on the way, and we'll see if DFM putting themselves up to match point. Are they going to be able to close this one out, or will we see CGA answering back? Don't go anywhere.
エクセキューショナーのような重傷アイテムもまだ持っていないので、一息で落としきらないと、ただスキルを消費させられただけにやっぱなってしまうんですよね。ミニナー状態でエビ選手ここ入っていくのがすごいですよね。
なんか殴りながら回復してますね。プラス60プラス60って見えますけど。
やはりオーシャンソウル。オーシャンだけはもうとにかく取らせてはダメですね。このゲーム序盤のところでまずしっかり主導権を取って、あと一番驚いたのは同じマッチアップにもかかわらずセロ選手がアリア選手に対して主導権取ってたんですよね。ロストチャプターができたあたりからはさすがに、ゾーイ側が主導権取ったものの、そこまでしっかりと支え続けたというのも面白かったですね。ここ本当にチャンピオン変わってないですからね。
だからこそのドラフトですよね。